And I know it wasn't announced that CaitlinClark wouldn't play until right before, but this is a preseason game where Clark is not available, and yet
You want to body slam me? Fine, I'll drop 21 points on you. That was essentially Sophie Cunningham's response after the Mystics' rookie Kiki Iriafen delivered a flagrant foul that could have injured the Fever's new.
This proves there is an agenda against the IndianaFever. There is an attack.
In a preseason game that was anything but friendly. The IndianaFever showed something we rarely saw last season: toughness, unity, and the willingness to stand up for each other. Even with CaitlinClark sidelined with a nagging left leg, the Fever proved they're no longer a team to be pushed around. It was the birth of a new identity for the IndianaFever, one where players like Cunningham, Hall, and Bonner showed they won't back down from anyone. In this video, we'll break down everything that happened, Sophie and the Fever's spicy response, and how the Washington Mystics reacted post-game after the bullying. If you stand with Indiana, comment spicy Sophie down below. Let's go.
It's the first time we're witnessing this. They're attacking Sophie Cunningham just like they did Caitlin last year. There is an agenda against this basketball team, and I'm calling it out right now. The league better step in immediately. They better step in immediately. We better not be dealing with what we dealt with last year.
What happens when the face of your franchise sits on the sidelines for the IndianaFever? It meant facing their preseason opener against the Washington Mystics without CaitlinClark. This wasn't just any absence. It was Clark's first missed game in 5 years, spanning her entire college career at Iowa and rookie WNBA season. Coach Stephanie White made the tough call to sit out Clark, who was dealing with what Clark herself described as a little tightness in her left leg. "We need to think long-term," White explained, protecting her star player with a grueling season ahead featuring 4 more games than last year. Smart move for the future. But it left the Fever incredibly vulnerable.
Look, the biggest thing is we got to think long term. Like, we got to make sure that we're not putting Caitlin at risk for injury. We're not putting our team in a position, where we're thinking short term and not long term. It's a long season, 4 more games than last season. So we want to make sure that we're extra cautious and put her health and wellness first and foremost. And honestly, it's been one day at a time. How she's reacted to treatment, how she's reacted to workouts. So positive progress is being made, but we can't be short.
The first quarter was brutal for Indiana. They fell behind quickly, getting outscored 24-13 as the Mystics established complete dominance. Missed layups, zero offensive flow, the Fever looked completely lost. The deficit ballooned to 15 points, and fans watching had to wonder if this game was already over before it really began.
This team came out very slow, very lethargic, very stuck in the mud, very dragging ass, didn't have energy to them, didn't have flow.
Picture this. The Washington Mystics, sensing weakness, came out aggressive from the opening tip. Their physical play set the tone early, pushing the Fever around and daring anyone, to step up in Clark's absence. The Mystics smelled blood in the water, and for a while it seemed like they might run away with an easy win against a Clarkless Fever squad.
White seemed frustrated. We were down 15. Stephanie White called the timeout, and she must have stuck her foot up her team's ass and said, you see this arena? You see all these fans that came to watch you guys? 12,461 people. They didn't come to watch you guys bullshit. They didn't come to watch you guys drag ass. Let's play some defense and let's get it together all fast.
Meanwhile, an unexpected hero emerged from the shadows. Lexi Hall, coming off the bench with energy and hustle, started turning the tide. She snatched 4 steals, disrupting Washington's offense, and added 13 crucial points to keep Indiana within striking distance. Kelsey Mitchell praised Hall for doing the dirty work and bringing that spark when the team needed it most.
The most confident I've ever seen Lexi Hall look. Lexi Hall looked the most confident I have ever seen Lexi Hall look, putting the ball on the ground, taking it to the rack, shooting threes, middies, turnaround fades. Whether they went in or not, we can get into that another day once the season starts. But the fact that she's confident enough in her game to where she's at least willing to try to do something to make the offense happen, to create points, to create confusion among the defense.
Despite all the early struggles and double-digit deficit, the Fever showed something remarkable. Resilience. The absence of their superstar became not an excuse, but a challenge. Other players began to find their rhythm. The defense tightened, and suddenly that massive lead didn't seem so insurmountable.
Cam and Lexi Hull, these two players, Sophie Cunningham gave us 21, Lexi Hull gave us 13. The Blonde Bombers is what they're calling them. We were down 15 in the first half. Why were we down 15? We cut it to within 3 at
8. How did the Fever manage to stay competitive without Clark? The answer wasn't in one player trying to replace her 20-plus points per game. It came from unexpected heroes stepping up, collectively playing with heart, and refusing to back down from Washington's physical challenge. Little did the Mystics know that physical approach would soon backfire in dramatic fashion, with the Fever starting to find their groove in the second quarter. Everything changed in an instant. The game shifted dramatically when Mystics rookie Kiki Iriafen delivered what can only be described as a body slam to Sophie Cunningham with 5 minutes left in the first half.
Announced that CaitlinClark wouldn't play until right before. This is a preseason game where Clark is not available, and yet
This wasn't just a hard basketball play. This was something you'd expect to see in a wrestling ring. Cunningham, who joined Indiana this offseason in a 14 trade, had been steadily finding her rhythm and helping narrow Washington's lead. She was moving without the ball, creating space, and causing problems for the Mystics' defense. Then came the confrontation that changed everything.
probably have 10,000 people here and a real home court advantage.
Sophie Cunningham. There you go. I mean, she's right there saying, don't you do that. She's telling the rookie.
As both players battled for a rebound, Ian grabbed Cunningham and violently threw her to the hardwood. The crowd gasped. Teammates on both sides froze for a split second, and then Cunningham sprang to her feet, immediately getting in Iriafen's face.
That's Kiki Iriafen, and I got to tell you, here we go with the smiling like you've done. I don't get it. This is the worst part of the WNBA. It is.
Do that. You don't do that. Cunningham shouted her words crystal clear even from the broadcast. The officials quickly stepped between them, but the damage was done. They reviewed the play and assessed a flagrant 1 foul against Iriafen, a call that frankly seemed lenient given how dangerous the play.
I mean, yikes. Kiki, the new Kennedy. A lot of people not happy. Demon Sophie, yeah, she showed up. Look at this. They're celebrating that. Okay. I mean, it's crazy. Here we go again. Here we go again. She's yelling while Kiki's laughing in her face. Never seen a rook have a vet so...
But the Mystics weren't done targeting Cunningham. Later in the game, Brittany Sykes delivered another unnecessary shove, sending Cunningham crashing to the floor again. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't basketball. It was bullying. Plain and simple. A clear pattern is emerging of Washington players, singling out Cunningham.
This was another one right here. This was Brittany Sykes, and DeWanna Bonner got involved in this one. She did. Little standing on bit.
The Fever's bench erupted. This wasn't the same Indiana team that got pushed around last year. Dana Bonner, another veteran addition to this squad, immediately stepped in to confront Sykes, showing the new protective culture developing within the team. The message was clear. Mess with one Fever player, you mess with all of them. What's most fascinating was how these incidents transformed the entire game. The Mystics thought they were being tough and thought they were intimidating their opponent. Instead, they awakened a sleeping giant in Cunningham and unified the entire Fever team. The officials reviewed both incidents, assessed penalties, and the game resumed. But something had fundamentally changed on the court. The energy had shifted. The Fever players weren't backing down. They were fired up. Coach White later described Cunningham as a dog, basketball slang for a player with relentless fight and heart.
My God, Sophie's a dog. She just is, she's a competitor. She's versatile, so she allows us to do different things. Like, she plays with such a toughness. She's huge, and she's going to be for us all season long. But what she brings from an energy standpoint, she raises the level of play of everybody around her as soon as she steps foot on the floor. Hell, even on the sideline. I mean, her communication, everything. She's definitely an X factor.
So what sparked these confrontations? Was it frustration from the Mystics as their lead diminished? Was it a deliberate strategy to intimidate the Fever's new addition? Whatever. Washington's plan was, it completely backfired. Rather than breaking Cunningham's spirit, they unleashed her competitive fire. Rather than intimidating the Fever, they unified them. And rather than securing a victory, they set the stage for one of the most satisfying comeback wins. You could imagine the Mystics tried to bully Sophie Cunningham, and they were about to deeply regret it. How do you respond when opponents try to physically intimidate you? Sophie Cunningham had a simple answer. Drop 21 points and lead your team to victory. That's exactly what she did following those brutal confrontations with the Mystics.
Lexi Holt gets a nice steal here, runs down the court, finds Sophie Cunningham, who pumps up the
It's on the drive. High arcing pass. It was too high. Holt pulls down the rebound. Here's Cunningham again. Cunningham coast to coast.
What a first half for Sophie Cunningham.
And this is as we've clawed back after being down 15.
After getting body slammed by Iriafen, something visibly changed in Cunningham's approach. The anger in her eyes transformed into laser-like focus. You could see it in her movement, more decisive, more aggressive. She wasn't just playing basketball anymore. She was making a statement. Cunningham started attacking from every angle. Mid-range jumpers, drive to the basket, three-pointers. Her offensive arsenal was on full display. The Mystics kept trying to body her, bump her, and throw her off her game. But with each physical play, Cunningham only seemed to get stronger and more determined. Her efficiency was remarkable, going 6 for 1 from the field. That's shooting nearly 55% at the free throw line. She was even better, knocking down 7 of 8 attempts for an impressive 87.5%. This wasn't just volume scoring. This was calculated high-percentage basketball in the biggest moments.
Cunningham, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 1 steal in 11 minutes off the bench in the first half. Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Holt played a majority of this game for the Indiana Fever. And they played together a majority of the time they were in this game. Sophie Cunningham showed exactly why we brought her in here. We won that trade hands down. Hands down, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We won the Sophie Cunningham.